Welcome back to the Untold Stories of Hutchison House. Today I'll be telling you the story of the friendship between Francis Stewart and Dr. John Hutchison. Upon first arriving in Canada, many settlers found themselves taking up temporary residence in Port Hope or Cobourg to give them time to start clearing land before moving on to Peterborough. These two towns became well populated with immigrants who would help new arrivals when they could. When Frances Stewart first arrived in Canada, she stayed some time in Cobourg. A friend they made while they were there took her and her children to Port Hope one day to visit, and she heard about a book society that they had established. For $4 every year, members of the book society could buy and trade books with each other because books cost so much individually. When Dr. Hutchison first moved to Canada, he settled in Port Hope, but he would visit the communities in the Peterborough area every 2 weeks and has designated places where he could be sent messages. He only charged his patients $3 every year at the time, and would often be paid for his services in goods instead when they had no money. One of the families that he visited on this route was that of the Stewarts. Francis Stewart moved to Peterborough in February of 1823, and Dr. Hutchison settled in this house here in 1837 with his wife and children. The two of them already had a friendly relationship from Dr. Hutchison's many visits prior to taking up residency in Peterborough. Frances Stewart and her husband were subscribers of Dr. Hutchison's medical insurance, paying him annually to provide care for them and their 11 children, as between them it seemed that someone was always sick. Being from a well-off family, Frances Stewart would receive care packages from her family back in Ireland every year, which she referred to as her annual box. Along with basic necessities that were either expensive or unattainable in the newly settled Peterborough, such as fabric and sewing needles, she would receive books. She and the doctor would share her books because they were so difficult to get in Canada at the time. And Frances noted that she probably had one of the best libraries in the settlement and that people would come from quite a distance to borrow books from her. It is possible that her library system was inspired by the Book Society in Port Hope, but the lack of means among her neighbors to establish such a society meant that she had to find a different method for its execution. On several occasions, Ellen Stewart, one of Frances' daughters, stayed with Dr. Hutchison when she suffered from melancholia, today known as either depression or bipolar disorder. On one of these visits, Ellen and the doctor decided to have a peach pit competition. They each planted the pit of a peach to see whose would grow first. Unfortunately, Ellen fell into an episode of depression while the doctor was visiting family in Scotland, and only his partner, Dr. Hayes, was available to treat her. It seems that this episode continued until Dr. Hutchison returned, and she once again went to stay with him until she felt better. When Dr. Hutchison died in 1847, Frances Stewart was among the many in the community bereaved. Because Dr. Hutchison contracted and died of typhus, everything in regards to handling his body and burial was rushed to prevent further spread. Being unable to own property or even afford the maintenance of herself and her children out in the woods, the widowed Martha Hutchison was forced to leave town shortly after and relocated to Toronto with her young children because she had a half-brother who lived there. Even after the death of the doctor, the two families remained close, and two of their grandchildren even got married. Thanks for joining us today, and be sure to visit again when next time we'll be telling the story of James Moore, the man who accused his own doctor of murdering him. How does Dr. Hutchison fit into this story? Like and subscribe to find out.